We got fancy just for you.
You always do that Moira Rose voice.
I love her voice.
She does a really great voice.
She does.
It's like, what's that accent from?
They never say.
Like, what is it? Because that's not a Canadian accent.
It's definitely not Canadian. They never actually say what it is, which I find appealing.
Yeah, I love a little mystery to my women.
Well, mystery. All right. So we're at the point, right, in MLK. Can I just stop for a moment and admire Catherine's eyelashes? Look down for me, you little lamb chop. They are beautiful. Now that that's over. Okay. So
welcome to part 2 of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. This is Obviously It's Fake, the podcast. I'm Catherine Doherty.
I'm Chelsea Patch.
And we're very excited for today's topic.
I'm really excited because of the fact that I fully 125% believe that MLK was murdered by the government. And you ain't gonna change my mind about that. I don't think we're gonna change your mind about that.
I just kicked the table.
And I'm excited because of the fact there's so much evidence pointing to the government and the government doing it. And
I feel like excited is the wrong word.
Okay, I'm
interested. It generates a lot of excitement. Yes, I agree with you there. Like, as I was looking deeper and deeper into this and getting into it, yes, like I definitely got excited too, because it's very, very interesting. And there's so much emotion attached to it. The King family genuinely believes that James Earl Ray, the man who was convicted of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., did not do it.
Yeah. I mean, you have to consider, and we talked about this, Kat, you talked about it a lot in part 1, that, you know, the FBI was basically up MLK's ass 24/7. So if, okay, let's say James Earl Ray was a crazed white supremacist that said, no, you know, he can't go on, he's got to be taken out. The FBI being all over him and having surveillance and things like that, I really don't think that helped Martin Luther King stay alive. That's for damn sure.
No, and it's pretty convenient that, like, you know, this man who was under surveillance 24/7 by the FBI, nobody knew that this crazy man was planning an assassination.
Yeah.
You didn't pick that up during your surveillance? That's very hard to believe. But yeah, speaking
okay.
but speaking
yeah, okay.
Okay, so but speaking of the official record, we should do a little brief overview. Officially, what the state of Tennessee is still very insistent on happened is that James Earl Ray acted alone. He was like a lone gunman, lone crazy assassin theory. He got a room at the boarding house across from the Lorraine Hotel, used a rifle and binoculars to stake out MLK.
No, but so James Earl Ray had bought a rifle.
Yeah, so James Earl Ray shows up in town, buys the rifle, sets up shop at the boarding house, stakes out MLK with his binocs, and shoots him from across the street.
Okay. Even the best of hunters, like, consider the size of a deer compared, or like.
So I don't even think that we need to like get into the argument that like maybe James Earl Ray wasn't the gunman, like he wasn't a talented enough gunman to have pulled that off. he really didn't have any history in his personal life of being involved in any like extremist, like he wasn't in the KKK. He wasn't he wasn't like known for having a hate on for MLK particularly. He was like
Yeah.
a petty criminal who grew up poor, like, you know, he was poor white trash and became a criminal. So, you know, it's very like statistically likely
Right.
that he probably was racist. But he didn't have, like, he wasn't known for having an issue with Martin Luther King. Um, he actually spent a lot of his time in Canada, uh, to be
In
honest.
Canada?
So it's just kind of, you know, it really feels like maybe, you know, he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and was an easy person. It was an easy person to pin it on because he was just like a trashy, petty criminal. I mean, not even petty. He did have like a serious record, but nothing
There's like bank
assassiny.
robberies.
Yeah, he had some armed robberies that he was
Yeah.
involved in. He did there was a carjacking, armed carjacking robbery. Um, but not
The
like
fugitive for a little bit.
political assassin. He wasn't a
No.
like that's not, you know. Anyway, so let me look at my notes. All right. How's your day going, bitch?
All right. How's my day going?
Well, just like
Good.
this is such a heavy topic, you know, I feel like I
It
needed to like
is.
lighten things up a little bit. Like let's before we really get into it, let's just take a minute to like, how are you? Like we don't have to be so transactional about this. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm okay. I mean, I don't know. I have errands to run and I have to like, I hate being an adult sometimes. You know what I mean?
You hate that you have to run errands?
I'm being an adult. Yeah.
I do too. I fucking hate errands. Errands are the worst. I do all of my errands with like the call ahead and curbside pickup now.
If I can, I do. But
Is that your dog or my neighbor's dog?
it's mine. So, how are you? How's Faye? How's the kids? And I say kids, I mean Ian also.
Ian and Fee are doing good. Um, it's like she's a little late to the game, but she's suddenly like all about Valentine's. And I was like, it's over.
Yeah.
Okay. But no, I didn't do that to her. But she says it like she leaves off the V
Oh,
for
so
some
it's
reason.
Valentine's.
Yeah, so it's Valentine's.
I used to say Valentine's because it was easier.
Yeah, I mean V's are tough.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of effort for the face.
Mm, yeah, she doesn't have time for that.
No, no, who does?
She's a busy girl.
She's got a lot going on. She's just want to eat her. I won't though, because she's your child and that's cannibalism. All right, let's do this. This was a sniper attack, and apparently, there was no way to stop it, right? Because how do you stop a sniper? Apparently, there were police within 2 minutes of Dr. King. However, no one was thinking sniper. And you think after JFK, you would think that there would at least be like a helicopter or someone in like the upper levels of where he was staying to do this.
They weren't trying to protect him.
They should have been. I mean,
They were
again,
like actively considering him like a threat to the nation at this point.
and I don't see why that is. Why? Because Black people were going to be equal. Ooh, let me shake in my Oval Office. Like, come on, dude. Like,
Well, Johnson was like actually not that horrible. Like he was like they worked together a lot with civil rights. However, it was when MLK became very anti-war that things took
he
a
was
turn for their
nonviolent.
relationship. Yeah.
He was a nonviolent guy, so why wouldn't he be anti-war? Anybody who was anti-war was on the government's target. And I say that because of the fact, look at how much money war brings into the country, but also look at how much it costs us, both in lives and monetarily.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the type of shit that MLK was saying.
Yeah.
He was criticizing the administration, talking about them spending too much money on the war, and just fucking shit up, you know?
Yeah.
He's assassinated, right?
Yeah.
The same people who, up until this point, the day of his assassination, they were fucking spying on him, right?
Yeah.
So don't you think, right, that they would have had like something on their radar about an assassination plot?
There were police within 2 miles of him, but he didn't have a direct detail on him.
No, of course not. Now listen, right? James Earl Ray, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the man who was arrested for this.
Yeah.
And he is arrested because he drops a bag of evidence containing the gun and binoculars that he used to commit this crime, covered in his fingerprints. This is a pretty careless mistake for somebody whose previous crimes were all armed robberies, in which case he successfully hid the guns afterwards.
Yeah, that was pretty careless. So maybe he was on
Like, that
drugs.
seems a little fucking convenient, you know what I mean?
Maybe he was a sleeper cell.
That seems a little fucking convenient.
Yeah, especially he like succeeded in the armed robberies.
Yeah, I mean, he got the money. He was eventually arrested, you know,
Well, right.
but he didn't leave the weapon behind. He was an experienced criminal is what I'm trying to say.
Why would he just carry it around?
What do you mean?
Like, he killed Martin Luther King Jr. Why would he just carry it around?
Well, he would get rid of it.
But he didn't get rid of it. He had it. He was found with it on him, wasn't he?
No.
Where did he put it?
I just told you. It was like dropped in the middle of the fucking street.
In the middle of the street.
Yeah, like outside the Lorraine Hotel. From him. Yeah. Like, he like conveniently dropped it in front of their fucking faces.
Like, whoopsie, gotta go.
Yeah, like, okay, I just committed this assassination. Let me get my shit. I'm just gonna leave the gun though. Like, I'm gonna forget that.
Yeah. Well, same with the shell casings in JFK. They were all there. You know, like, how do you forget the shell casings and the gun? Like, sleeper cells. It's gotta be. He's gotta be a sleeper cell.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Why?
Because I don't think that he even did it.
You don't think he was killed by who went down for killing him?
No, of course not.
Who do you think did it?
The FBI.
Well, yeah, the FBI, but this guy was a patsy.
So some people believe that.
I think
there's a lot of, well, let's get into it. Let's get into the fucking possibilities. All right.
All right.
Let's see.
I mean,
I don't have my specs on, you know what I mean?
He had no way that police were within, I'm sorry, it wasn't 2 miles, 2 minutes of Dr. King, but there was no way for them to stop a sniper attack. And James Earl Ray pled guilty. Why would you plead guilty? Especially like if you're like, who was this guy before?
Why would you plead guilty? Because in the state of Tennessee, you are, if you go in front of a jury, you can be sentenced to death if found guilty for this crime. Whereas if you plead guilty for this crime, the most that you can be sentenced to is life in prison.
Why would you want life in prison? Like, I'm sorry, but kill my ass.
Well, I mean, you know, if you're alive, you can apply for an appeal.
I guess. But I think it was the FBI through him. Because the FBI, like, they just wouldn't send an FBI agent out to be like, boo, you're dead. Like, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, well, so okay. Let's go over the deets as we know them to be, right?
It was a sniper.
Well, so James Earl Ray is immediately found guilty, sentenced to life. He then immediately recants his story and changes his whole thing and says, no, I didn't do it. I was advised by my lawyer. His lawyer was, what was his fucking name? His name was like, oh, Percy Foreman. Duh. Hello, bitch. So Percy Foreman, his lawyer, tells him, like, listen, this is what you should fucking do. You plead guilty. And then, like, then you won't die. And you can try to appeal this. So he does that. And he changes his story. And he's like, I didn't fucking do that shit. I am being used as a fucking scapegoat and I'm being framed, right? And there's actually like a pretty shocking amount of evidence that kind of corroborates this claim. Number one, the fucking convenient ass evidence that was basically like tied with a bow and dropped at the FBI's doorstep, literally like on the police file notes, says package dumped successfully on the same page that references this bag of evidence. And it, like, you know,
just
basically they
evidence. Here
fucking dumped it at the scene. Obviously, he has also maintained this story ever since then. MLK the third, right, goes and meets with Ray in prison. And they have a long ass fucking conversation. And basically, nobody knows like the ins and outs of that talk. But at the end of it,
fly on the wall.
Yeah, well, at the end of it, MLK the third believed in Ray's innocence, so much so that the King family, after this point, asks for the case to be reopened.
So much so they believed that he was innocent.
Yeah, they asked for the
case
case
to be reopened. His own mother or wife. Wow.
Yeah. So in 1999, they have this like trial, right?
Right.
And what is it? It's like a mock trial, or it's like a
mediation.
No, it was like, I think it was like a fucking, I don't know, whatever. It didn't end in him being released from prison though. Right. But so I don't think that it was like, it might have been like for TV, like a mock trial, like a test trial. I don't fucking know.
Like a rehearsal?
No, like maybe like a, I'm gonna feel like a dumbass. I don't know.
Jury selection?
Anyway, maybe like something like that. So at this time, like Ray's testimony, he claims that he was paid by a man named Raul, who was like his
what?
He was just like his crime associate. I don't know. He doesn't give a last name. He was like his crime associate from Canada, right? They were both back, spent some time in Canada years prior, and they committed some weapons smuggling crimes together. Roy gets contacted by this dude, Raul, and he's like, listen, I got a fucking job for you, brah. And he tells him to go get a room in the boarding house across from the Lorraine, and also gives him instructions to buy the murder weapon. Ray claims that at this time, he thinks that he's getting a gun to be like part of their like fucking gun run, like their smuggling thing that they're doing. And he says that the assassination actually happened while he was across town fixing a flat tire on his car, and Raul was back at the room at the boarding house across from the Lorraine, and he used the fucking gun that Bro bought earlier to shoot MLK, which is a pretty fucking feasible tale to have completely fabricated.
Yeah, I mean, it fits.
Yeah,
It
it works.
definitely fits. It does.
The only like kind of hole in his story is that he has changed the way that he describes Raul's appearance several times over the years. Like he describes him as being like blonde, then he describes him as having red hair, then he describes him as having like sandy brown hair. He describes him as being tall, short, light skin, medium skin, Hispanic, French Canadian. Like he kind of like really changes his appearance a lot, and it's hard to say whether that is because he's just fucking been in jail for a really fucking long time and was really old, or if that's because like he was just trying to like not be a snitch, or if he was like
maybe,
you know, making this shit up.
Dude.
Right? That we got fucking possible case scenario number 2. Number deuce with the mafia.
Really?
A lot of people believe that. It's probably not true in my opinion, but a lot of people believe that.
But anyway,
fucked up. All right, let's get in to conspiracy theory numero 2 about MLK.
okay.
And this is the possibility that Lloyd Jowers,
Mr. Jowers,
was hired by the mafia to orchestrate this assassination. So in 1993, Lloyd Jowers came forward and said that he had hired someone to kill MLK at the direction of the mafia. He like went all over talking about this. He was like,
wow.
He like talked to a newspaper reporter about it. He like talked to different members of the press. He went on like some talk shows. So much so that the King family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Jowers in 1998, you know, just to make him explain his claims officially in a court of law. And the suit was only for $100. So it was very much symbolic. Like they wanted to make sure that nobody could say that it was like they were trying to get money or anything like that.
It was a mock trial in 93. We were talking about that before. That's what it was called, a mock trial. HBO.
A mock trial. Yes, for fucking James Earl Ray, him talking about Raul. Thank you. Mock trial. Real. Well, because I was like, I feel like there was a trial, but like it wasn't a real trial. It was a pretend trial. And you were like, that sounds like a thing.
Yeah, and that's when Lloyd Jowers really got involved. He owned a bar and grill near the Memphis Motel where King was shot.
Yes.
After that, he was like, oh shit, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about this. Let's get into it. Yeah. And so in 1998, they go to court. I think it was probably like 99 when they actually went to court, but his claims were basically that the mafia hired him to find an assassin to actually kill Martin Luther King. And he and his lawyer, William Pepper, actually provided a decent amount of evidence to suggest that James Earl Ray did not do this and that it had to have been somebody else. William Pepper, by the way, Lloyd Jowers' lawyer in this situation, he is famously known for being like thinking that the government killed JFK.
Well, I mean, don't get me started on that, but yes, they did.
But just to like, he's like somebody that like, he definitely thinks that there's some wild shit going on with MLK's assassination. And he's actually also like a very smart and respected man. He's not like some weird fringe character, you know what I mean?
No, it says on this one NPR article I'm looking at here that Pepper had interviewed interrogated James Earl Ray for 5 hours, and he came away with the conclusion that he didn't do it. And that's when they appealed. They tried it in the Supreme Court, and there was no luck, obviously.
Yeah.
He was still in jail. And that's when he said, why don't we try to have a real trial on television? And that's when the mock trial really came about. And that's when Jowers was like, yo, guess what? Here's what happened.
Yes. And so William Pepper was like, I will be your lawyer for this situation. And really their goal throughout the whole thing was to prove Jowers guilty. Like him and his lawyer, their goal was to prove that he was guilty, not that he was innocent, which is wild because like the government is trying to prove that he's actually innocent. You know what I mean? Like it's the opposite of what the government is usually fucking doing to people.
Yeah.
So at this time, the evidence that they provide, right, is ballistics that prove that James Earl Ray's rifle could not have been the gun that killed Martin Luther King. Jowers says that the person that he hired to kill MLK was a Memphis police officer named Lieutenant Earl Clark.
Earl Clark?
Yes, that this is the man that he actually hired to do the deed and kill MLK was Lieutenant Earl Clark of the Memphis PD. Mm-hmm. So the jury, what is it?
Sorry. So why didn't they go after him?
Well, so the jury found this evidence very convincing, but there were some holes in his story, and there was actually some evidence that was brought forward that Lloyd Jowers sold this company. That he sold this story to a news company. They offered him $300,000 to
like shit.
To like kind of like fabricate a dramatic tale around this. And his daughter was also writing a book on the whole story to make more money. So the family was really like, they were definitely trying to squeeze this for every penny that they could. And it really made it seem like they were making it up, because of that.
Pepper wrote a couple books, and one of them he wrote was The Plot to Kill King, The Truth Behind the Assassination of Martin Luther King.
Yeah, that's probably really good.
He claims that Ray didn't kill King. Instead, he was framed by U.S. government agencies, which, I mean, it makes sense because Ray died in prison in 1998. And Pepper tried and spent years to try to prove Ray's innocence.
Yeah, there was a witness who said that they saw a suspicious figure at the location where Jowers says that his hired assassin, Lieutenant Earl Clark, did the shots from. However, the bushes in front of the Lorraine Hotel where that eyewitness put the figure and where Lloyd Jowers put his assassin, those bushes were removed the day after MLK's death, removing with them any evidence that may have been left behind. So it's definitely super suspicious. Like,
oh yeah,
and there is a lot of evidence to go along with what you're saying that the FBI did it. I mean,
well, not just that, but according to PolitiFact, so according to Pepper, there was a team of Special Army Force snipers that were sent to kill King, but just as they were taking aim, a backup civilian assassin pulled the trigger. I don't know about that. That seems a little like just not believable. You know what I mean?
You don't think so?
No.
I don't know. Who knows? You know what I mean, dude?
The backup assassin part, I mean.
The backup assassin part? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a whole lot of evidence, though. Like, it is very plausible that MLK's death was an orchestrated operation by the FBI, dude. Like, a whole secret branch of the government is responsible for killing him, in my personal opinion. You know what I mean?
I mean, apparently there was also a lot of evidence that was presented in Memphis that didn't see any type of light of day, really.
Dude, no doubt. There was a whole fucking the counterintelligence program, or like the COINTEL program, as it is like abbreviated.
Yeah.
So they fucking monitored US citizens initially, like to prevent communism. All the crazy shit that the government did, like in the name of preventing communism, it's like ridiculous. They just used that as an excuse to do whatever the fuck they wanted. They were
Yeah.
just like, it's communism. Thank you so much. It was like, I'm on my period. Sorry. It's communism. Okay. Thanks.
Oh God. So apparently, like the congressional report on King's death was determined that he died from a single gunshot wound to the chin and the neck. And there's no evidence to back up conspiracy theories that King was killed in a government plot.
Well, we know for sure that COINTEL was doing some crazy shit that caused a lot of violence. So they were definitely manipulating a lot of people within the Black Power movement to
For
like
sure.
fight amongst each other. Like they had a lot of counterintelligence agents that would like go in and infiltrate these groups. They would infiltrate the civil rights movement. And then fucking
And money
like
was changing hands. You know, money was changing hands.
yeah, absolutely. But they would like fucking go in there, they would stir shit up, they would like cause fights, they would cause violence. It's fucking terrible. And the FBI was super fucking bitter that they didn't successfully take down MLK with their efforts that we know about up until this point.
Well, they put so much work into it. Of course, they would be upset.
Yeah, they were pretty fucking butthurt and insulted that he refused to be scared into silence by them. You know what I mean? So at this point, they start what is officially called Operation Lantern Spike, right?
Okay.
And Operation Lantern Spike was said to have been started to prevent the rise of a Black Messiah. That was like the mission statement of Operation Lantern Spike was prevent the rise of a Black Messiah. Documents about Operation Lantern Spike are
Them now.
they're sealed and they will not be declassified until at least 2027.
So, of course, there was reports that the government was destroying the documents. So we already know that they destroyed the documents in Memphis. And yes, they're not supposed to be released until 2027. And I think that's a bunch of bullshit. That's way too long.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we don't even know that they're actually going to be released at that point. Like the government can just like reclassify them. Like, you know what I mean?
They could. They absolutely could. And I think it's a bunch of bullshit that they did that with JFK as well. And Trump was the one who brought it out, but wasn't there still a bunch of stuff that was redacted? So it was basically just like a sentence or two a page.
Yeah.
I don't want redactions. I want the full Monty. I want to know what the
I
fuck
want to
went down.
know.
I think as an American, don't sugarcoat me, government. That's what happens. You sugarcoat me. And then my sensitivity gets built up. And then when I see something horrible and disgusting, I'm shocked and awed. Why didn't my government step in? Why didn't my government take care of this for me? I don't need that. This is why aliens haven't been brought to the forefront yet. Because our little dumbass bitches can't handle it. And the government knows it.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm angry about it because there's nothing I can do about it.
I didn't fully follow that whole train of thought, but I guess I'm with you. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you
It
let me get it out.
It sounded like mostly pretty chill.
Thank you for letting me get it out.
Oh, no problem.
It happen.
No problem, dude. Yeah, you can't let that. You don't want to let that stew. You know what I mean? You don't want to let that stew. It's no good for anybody.
I agree.
Second, Coretta Scott King is on record as believing that James Earl Ray was framed for her husband's murder. She does not believe that he is guilty.
Isn't that awful? And she can't even prove it. And she just has this like gut feeling that this is what's happening. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go on.
No, you're chill.
Tell me about Coretta Scott King and why she didn't think that James Earl Ray killed her husband.
Because of all the fucking shit that we've been talked about, dude. You know what I mean? Like she knows it too. She knows about it also.
So I don't blame her. If I was CSK, I'd be like, yo, I can't accept this. You're not going to take me out because I have 4 kids to raise in, Montgomery, Alabama, like the worst place for a Black person to live. And I can't prove it, but I'm not going to be super quiet about it either. And I don't blame her for that. And I feel like her kids should carry on that torch. And I mean, their children have gone on to do good things in their communities and what have you. But I still feel like there's so much more that could be uncovered here. And if we knew the truth, what would happen? What would change? Everybody that's associated with it now is dead. And I think that that's why they put these time limits on the releasing of the files, because everybody associated with it is going to be dead by that point.
Well, I mean, really, because that's like not that far away from right now.
Yeah, it's only 6 years from now.
Yeah, like MLK the third is definitely still going to be alive.
Right, but he wasn't alive when it happened, is what I'm saying.
Yes, he was.
MLK the third, his grandson?
No, his son.
Oh, he was junior. Sorry. I got it messed up. My bad.
Still.
You're right. And I wonder if he'll read them. I wonder if his other kids will read them. And I wonder.
I mean, they definitely will.
I wonder what
they definitely would if they're going to be declassified.
I'd be very upset if I was them.
I hope that they're declassified, but I hope that the audio surveillance is not declassified, because I think that that's a fucked up thing to do.
Yeah. Oh, the sex tapes.
Yeah, because like, go fuck yourself. Like, Coretta Scott King heard them, and basically what she had to say about them was like, it was just a bunch of noises.
Right.
Like, there was no way to prove anybody was anybody, and she like really didn't give a shit.
Well, I mean, the community after it all had happened, I mean, ministers in Memphis were pleading with the mayor for peace and to find MLK's killer. There was mass riots in several states. I mean, the National Guard was called in. It was a big deal. And we saw a lot of that when George Floyd happened, when he was killed by the police, a Black man killed by a white policeman. So, I mean, I don't believe George Floyd was anywhere near MLK status as far as like doing things for the community, but
dude, I mean, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be.
No, you don't. But what I don't,
in order to like be allowed to be alive.
I don't want people to think I'm comparing the two. Like, I'm not comparing the two in that way, but like, in a roundabout way, I feel like the government killed George Floyd. A branch of the government, a very extended branch of the government, killed George Floyd, and so did MLK.
Yeah, the justice branch, the judicial branch of the government.
That's what I was trying to get to. I'm sorry. Thank you.
No, you're good. But you're right. The government you're right. They are responsible. It is similar in that way. They're definitely more directly responsible for MLK though, because they really fucking, I mean, even if they, like, let's say even if they didn't like pull the trigger, it wasn't an FBI agent that killed MLK, it was James Earl Ray, they are still responsible because they...
A contractor, I think. Maybe not someone directly tied to the FBI. Maybe
no.
Ray was a contractor.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like they like demonized him in the eyes of certain parts of America. They were not furthering the civil rights movement. They were demonizing him.
Absolutely.
In the media, because of his beliefs, and he died because of that. Like, even if they didn't pull the trigger, he died because of them.
I 100% agree. And I mean, I don't think that that's right. I mean, you look at, well, I don't think anybody would think that that's right, but what I'm saying is that you look at any progressive leader that was trying to make a change, that was trying to make a difference, that got big, they were all killed. I mean, around that time in the 60s, you know, in the 60s and the 70s and even in the 80s. There were
Yeah, I mean, it almost makes you think that like maybe like the government at that time and like the administration at that time and leadership at that time was chill with assassinations.
yeah, like it was like, okay, like, oh, by the by, we just need to take so and so, get the assassination list for this week. Who do we have to take out? Like, and I'm not going to say that that particular department of the government doesn't exist anymore. I just think it's way more advanced and way more chill.
The assassination department?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, are they one and the same?
I don't know. I don't think so. Not
No.
anymore, maybe.
I think the assassination department still exists, but it's like a dusty, it's like in the basement of the White House. And it's like the place you have to walk through to get to the bathroom. And there's only like one guy there, and he doesn't really do much. He just kind of like keeps the lights on.
I don't think so.
No,
That sounds ridiculous.
it's not impossible, right? If I can think it, I can dream it, I can make it happen. Walt Disney said that.
Did he?
Something like that. It was similar.
He said some wild shit though.
He did. I mean, if his own wife, like his entire immediate family is like, you know what, bro? You right though. He didn't kill him. And the guy died. He died in jail in 1998. Maybe he wasn't the best person in the world, but you shouldn't be incarcerated for a crime you didn't commit. And unfortunately, that still happens in the system every single day. And that's why we have overcrowding in the system. Not that that's the point of this. I'm just saying.
Yo, that's not the point of this. However, we should do an episode about
the criminal justice system.
No, we should do like an episode about like the prison industrial complex.
The prison industrial complex?
Yeah.
All right. I'm down.
That would be a good episode.
All right. So we appreciate and thank you for listening to Obviously It's Fake the podcast. I am Chelsea Potts.
I'm Catherine Doherty.
Please remember to like, share, rate, subscribe. Also, check out obviouslyitsfake.com, our website where we have new fun and exciting things happening. Catherine, I'm sorry that we had to spend this Galentine's Day isolated from each other.
Oh, me too.
I missed you dearly and feel that next year we need to go all out for Galentine's next year. I feel like it's going to be our 20th anniversary. Can we just say that it is?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. No problem. No problem.
I mean, by now. So let's say we met.
Dude, just do.
It's been 18 years. We've been friends for 18 years. That's more than half our lives.
It's true.
Wow. 18 years. So in 2 years, it'll be our 20th. Memories. We'll have to do something big.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our 20th.
It is. It's our. We'll look up what anniversary is that.
Ooh, what anniversary is that? 20th anniversary gift. I think it's gold.
No, that's like the 50th.
Ooh, adults only.
Ooh, adults only.
So traditionally it's China.
China. Cool. Let's go to China.
But no, like China, like.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'm saying let's go to China.
I don't know. The modern take on gifting for this milestone is platinum. So in 2 years' time, I need a gift of platinum or China.
In 2 years' time, I want you to have created a platinum selling album.
In China?
In China.
Yes. I'll see what I can do.
All right, get on it.
Once again, this has been Obviously It's Fake, the podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
Good night. You can't see me anymore.
Nope. All right. We're done.